If your Frigidaire Electrolux stackable washer and dryer sounds like this, keep watching and we'll show you how to fix it. To solve that squealing problem that you just heard, I purchased a maintenance kit from Amazon.com. The total cost of the kit was $24.20, I believe, and it came with just about every possible piece in the dryer that's serviceable that could possibly be causing any noise. So instead of tearing it apart first and figuring out which piece was the offending piece, I just bought the whole kit and figured while I was in there I would just replace it all and hopefully solve any future problems, eliminating the need to do the job again, essentially. First thing we're going to do is unplug the washer and dryer so we don't accidentally electrocute ourselves while we're inside the cabinet. And we're going to take a look around the back side here. That's the back side of the bearing coming through the cabinet there. You can kind of see there's a whole bunch of grease and burnt black stuff coming through the back side there, which is a pretty good indication that that cup that bearing sits in got pretty dry, and I think that's what's squealing away in there. Okay, one of the first things that we'll have to do is to take off the door to the dryer. Now there's several steps to get all of the screws out that are holding the door together. The first step is this panel right up here, right above the washer. There are two screws. One over here, and then way over here there's another one. So we're going to take those two out first. Now that those two screws have been removed, I can take this panel and lift it out of the way. It lifts up and away, just like that. Have to do is to remove the control panel itself. Now to do that, there are two sets of screws. There is one here on either side, right there connected to the little white tab, and then there's another one, a little black one, right up underneath here that also has to be removed. So by removing those two on either side, that will loosen the control panel. Now I've removed those two sets of screws on either side, the one by the little white tab right here, and then the little black one right up here underneath the cabinet on both sides. And this whole panel, if you push it down on either side, it will tilt forward, and you can get to the other set of screws that we have to remove here. So on either side of the cabinet, now these were hidden before by the control panel. There's a screw here on this side and then a matching one on the other side, and we'll remove those, and that will loosen up the door. Now the final set of screws for the door is actually up on top of the dryer. Up here there's a set of screws along the top. 1, 2, 3, 4 screws that have to be removed from the top of the panel to get the door off. So we'll remove all of those screws next. So after removing those screws, the entire door is held on with a couple of clips, and if you pull it forward, the clips will pop right out of the holes where they sit, and the whole door assembly will come free. On the left side of the dryer, there's an electrical connector that connects the door closure switch to the wiring harness, and that will need to be disconnected by pinching the two tabs on either side of it and pulling it apart before the door assembly will be able to be removed from the housing. There's actually a zip tie wrapped around that connector. They're running behind the two tabs that have to be decompressed in order to get that connector apart. So I'll need to remove that zip tie before I can compress those two clips and pull the connector apart. On the back side of the dryer, there's an access panel that can be removed with two screws, and that gives you access to the motor assembly and the idler pulley, which we're going to replace as well. You can access the belt through here, which is definitely necessary when reassembling the dryer and putting the drum back together. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the belt by sliding the idler pulley to the side and taking it right off of there. So the idler pulley just moves to the side, and then I can remove the belt. Inside the dryer, we're going to have to remove these screws here in the center. Those three screws there, those hold on that bearing assembly that we're going to replace. Once removing those screws, the whole drum should be able to come out. Removing those screws, the drum is now loose in the dryer, and it can be easily removed right through the front. Just clear the cabinet. Careful not to get it stuck on the side of the cabinet there. It'll fit right in the groove. And the whole drum will come out one big giant piece. With the drum removed, it's easily accessible now. The bearing in the back of the dryer, this part here, that holds up the bearing, or holds up the drum in the back of the dryer. This should just pop right out of there. It's held in to just a plastic cup. So I'm going to work on getting that out of there so that we can replace the new one. I'm also going to take an opportunity to vacuum out all of the dirt and debris and dryer lint that's still inside the dryer. So I removed the bearing from the back of the dryer there. It sits inside this plastic cup there and lifts straight up out of the cup. The little ball bearing part fits right in that cup there. So just by lifting it up, it slides right out of there. And that cup is held in with two screws there. So I'm going to pull those out, and we're going to replace that plastic cup. You can see that inside that cup, it's really dirty, worn down. Looks like it got very hot, and the grease just kind of wore away. And that, I believe, is the cause of all of the squealing that you heard at the beginning of the video. So hopefully we'll eliminate that and be on our way. Okay, so we're on to reassembly here. I'm going to replace this old felt seal here, which is pretty worn. At the top of the lip here, you can see that the felt is actually below the lip of the dryer door there, which is probably causing some of that squealing. So getting the new bearing cup installed in the dryer was actually a team effort. I had to have a partner hold the bracket on, and then there was a little ball bearing that went on the back of the cup that's held in place with this little tab here. Inside the dryer, we've got the cup installed with the two screws and the little ball bearing in the back. And then we have to put this high temperature lubricant that came with the kit in the cup so that the bearing will spin freely inside the cup without damaging the plastic or overheating. The new bearing assembly itself gets mounted on the outside of the drum with the three screws. So I'll hold the bearing on the outside of the drum and then reach on the inside with the screws and screw it in place. I have put the new belt around the drum in preparation for putting it inside the dryer. Putting it on the drum after it's been inserted in the dryer I think would be a little bit difficult, so I'm going to do it before here. So I'm going to remove this old idler pulley from the bracket here. The one that came in the kit is not the same design, but the pulley is exactly the same. So I'm just going to pull the pulley off of there, and I'm going to replace it with the brand new one that came with the kit. I'm going to apply some of the lubricant that came in the kit to the pulley shaft here, and then I'm going to slide the new pulley right on there in place of the old one. Although I was able to disassemble the dryer without removing this bottom plate that the control panel sits on top of, I wasn't able to reassemble it with that in place. It was hard to get the door on, line it up with the drum without removing that. So I removed that bottom plate, and I should be able to line the ductwork from the door back up with the blower motor a lot easier, and then fit the new seal inside the drum. So I ended up taking the top off of the dryer so that I could get the drum seated back properly. After reassembling everything in the reverse order that I took it apart in, we're back in business. So time to test out the work here and see if that horrible squeal has left us for good. So, moment of truth. There we go. Definitely an improvement over the way it was at the beginning of the project. Thanks for taking a look, and hopefully this will help you fix your terrible, horrible dryer squeal as well.